This is a webinar for post-op surgery diet. Um, let's see. So if you guys, through this presentation, I'm going to go back and forth between talking and then answering questions. So anytime you have a question, just type it in the question box. And if I don't get to it right away, I just go back and forth usually. So just be a little patient with me. Alrighty, so let's get started. Like I said, my name's Prudence. For those of you that don't know me, I have my master's degree in dietetics. I'm also a certified health coach. I have been in the weight loss industry for over 15 years. I was actually obese myself. That's what actually caused me to get into the industry. I wanted to help myself. And over 10 years, I've been just specifically specializing in bariatrics. It's my passion. I love working with you guys. I'm also a certified NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. It's like a mind-body coach, so you look a lot about how your thoughts affect your feelings, which then affect your behaviors. So we don't just look at nutrition, but we also deal with the emotional eating and all of that as you guys work through the process of change. I did not have surgery, but I've lost over 70 pounds over 5 years ago and was able to keep it off. And then at the end here, this is my email. You know, write it down and feel free at any time to email me. If you guys are not on our Facebook support page, I would highly recommend it. It's a private group, so nobody knows other than the people in the group, and you have access to our entire team. One of the great things about MBC is our pre- and post-op care. So you have myself, you have another dietitian who will say hi in a minute, you have your coordinators, you have a medical liaison, and we're all on Facebook. So there's tons of great support being a part of the Facebook page. The other dietitian, her name's Kelly, and I'm going to let her say hi to you and introduce herself to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Kelly. I've been a dietitian for about 20 years. I've worked primarily in hospitals, so I've worked a lot with the complications related to obesity. I'm looking forward to working with everybody pre and post surgery to make sure that they succeed with their diets.
So we're happy that you guys are all here, and alrighty, so let's get started here, and let's see. Okay. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is vitamins. This is kind of, it's very important. So after surgery, you guys, your intake is drastically changed. You know, you're basically going from the size of a flattened football, that's what your stomach is now, and or if you've just had surgery, you go to about the size of a thumb, and it'll expand to about the size of an egg, a small egg. So you cannot get in the food or the nutrients after surgery. The other thing is you do not have the digestive enzymes that you had prior to surgery that help break down the food. And so vitamins are an absolute. It's not a question. I always tell people there's two things you after surgery you don't want to try to find the cheapest version, but you want to oh, sorry about that, guys. Would help if I did this. All right. Okay. Where am I? Yeah. So you don't want to, you know, you really want a good quality protein shake because that's basically something you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. And you want a really good quality vitamin. So these are the things you want to look at. One of the muscle loss, fatigue, hair loss, which supplements are really important, but also your calories and your protein are really important. Cracked and dried skin. Osteoporosis is a big one too because there's no signs or symptoms of it, so and it's not reversible. You can stop progression, but osteoporosis is something you want to be careful of. Weakness and then even nerve damage. So you definitely want to take the recommended vitamins and a good quality vitamin. Okay, so with after bariatric surgery and B12 deficiency, so you have to have what we call sublingual B12. I mean, you either can do injections, you can do sublingual, or you can do a nasal spray. But you might look at your multivitamin and say, well, my multivitamin has B12 in it, so I don't need extra B12. Well, you're not absorbing that B12. So because it has to be one of the three that I just mentioned. Oh, so shoot, sorry guys, I don't know why that did that. Oh, give me a second. And so anyway, so after surgery, one, like I already mentioned, you don't have the same digestive enzymes because a big part of your either is cut out or it's smaller, so you don't have the digestive enzymes. And specifically with B12, you don't have B12 needs something for it to be absorbed in our body, and that's called intrinsic factor. So you don't produce, basically the part of the stomach that secretes that is gone after surgery. So that's why you need to have either sublingual, which means it goes underneath the tongue, nasal spray, or injections for B12. Iron deficiency, again, this is more with gastric bypass than it is with the sleeve surgery. But again, with the absorption, so I would say if you're having sleeve, then you just take your regular multivitamin, and a lot of times it'll have the iron in it, which is fine. But with gastric, if you're having gastric bypass, you might have to take additional iron. Calcium. Now the thing with calcium is the type. So you need calcium citrate versus calcium carbonate, so you have to be really careful with that. And why does it keep doing that? Gosh. Guys, I'm sorry, I'm having issues here. So you want to make sure you take calcium citrate. So when you're buying your supplements, and this is why it's always really, important to, get a bariatric specific vitamin. I always tell people, like, when a woman gets pregnant, they don't take regular vitamins anymore. They take prenatal vitamins. And it's kind of the same with bariatric surgery. There's specific amounts and specific types that you need after surgery. And to make sure that you get that, it's just best to buy a bariatric specific vitamin. After surgery, it is hard to swallow, so most people will do a chewable vitamin, and that's the beauty about bariatric vitamins too. If they're not chewable, they're really tiny capsules, so they're very easy to swallow. So I would just recommend getting a chewable bariatric vitamin. And you guys are going to get this all in your post-op packet as well. So, but this is just a general overview of what you're going to be taking after surgery. So basically, you're going to start taking your supplements 1 week, about 7 days after surgery. But you're going to take a multivitamin. Again, we talked about gastric bypass patients. They're more likely to need more iron because of the malabsorption and the fact that there's a bypass there. So you might need additional iron. Calcium, you need 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams a day. So basically, I mean, I can speak about the bariatric specific ones because they're made to be set up for you guys to easily take, but they're about 500 milligrams a piece. So basically, you just take those with each meal. So you'd get up in the morning and take your multivitamin, you do your sublingual B12, anything else you're going to take if you have extra supplements you're going to take, and then your calcium you're going to take with each meal. Especially if you're taking iron, you don't want to take iron and calcium together because it affects the absorption of it. So that's why you'll take the calcium separate. You need vitamin D3. And again, this is another great thing. A lot of times with your bariatric vitamins, they have the calcium with the D3 in it, so that's one less supplement you have to take. I really like that. B12 we talked about, sublingual, 500 micrograms. Thiamine, which is B1, 100 milligrams. I'm going to tell you guys right now, you will not be able to find this. So many people email me and say, Prudence, I can't find a thiamine that's 100 milligrams. Because this is specific for bariatric patients, you can only find 100 milligrams in a bariatric specific vitamin. So don't waste your time going to trying to find it, because you won't be able to. Now, the other thing I highly recommend is a digestive enzyme. And I think I give a recommendation in my post-op packet, but the reason you want that, like I said, you don't have as many digestive enzymes, so not everybody. I will tell you right now that there's no cookie cutter method. There's such a wide range of effects after surgery. You might get out of surgery and do totally fine, have no problems, and then there's other people that have a lot of problems as far as swallowing, diarrhea, nausea. So one of the things that will help prevent that is taking a digestive enzyme with your food, because it will help break down your food so you don't have that complication. So I definitely recommend that. Looking at the diet, so as soon as you have surgery, you're going to be on what we call clear liquids, which is basically the same thing you were on 2 days before surgery. And it says here 2 to 7 days, but ideally most of you guys will be on it 5 to 7 days. The reason I have 2 is because, again, remember what I said is everybody's different. So I do have some people that after 2 days they're totally fine, they have no problems, and they're starving. They feel like their stomach says I need something more solid. But most of you will be on clear liquids for at least 5 days. So basically clear liquids, which you should already know what it is because you were on clear liquids for pre-op, is anything transparent, so you should be able to see your hand on the other side. And I think, oh, I thought I gave you some ideas here. But basically, it's any of your juices, apple juice, white grape, cranberry juice, herbal teas. You can do any type of broth. It doesn't matter, chicken, beef, vegetable. You can do things like sugar-free popsicles and sugar-free Jell-O. With the Jell-O, just remember it's basically pure chemicals and garbage. There's nothing in it. So you can do it, but there's really no purpose in having that. But it's still considered a clear liquid. The main goal during this phase is 2 things and 2 things only. You want to rest. You just had a surgery, so you want to rest your stomach. You want to give your body a time to adjust and adapt to what just happened, and you want to hydrate yourself. This is really important. Is to keep yourself hydrated so you don't end up in the hospital and having to get IV fluids. So the point is you may not want to drink, you may not feel like drinking, but you absolutely have to sip throughout the day. Train yourself to sip. And I would even say if you can't, maybe even get some little small ice chips or something. But you're just constantly sipping throughout the day. The goal is 64 ounces, but to prevent dehydration, you want at least 48 ounces. So that's something you're just going to have to really be mindful of. I will tell you, if you're used to pulling like water and juices out of the refrigerator, really cold fluids tend to irritate the pouch. So one thing you can help after surgery is getting in the habit of, as soon as you wake up in the morning, you're not drinking coffee, so coffee is not an option, but you can have either a warm broth or a tea, like an herbal tea would be fine. So, and what that does is getting in the habit, and every couple of hours I would do something warm because it helps relax the muscles, and so you have less irritation. The other thing you're going to want to do is leave your waters and juices at room temperature again, so that will help. Anything extreme, really too hot, and definitely the cold, irritates your pouch, and then you end up drinking less. Let's see here. I'm gonna see. Yeah, so Carter's asking, should we add digestive enzymes to our routine? Absolutely. You don't need it pre-op, but post-op, because again, pre-op you're fine. I mean, it's not going to hurt you to do it, but I don't think you really need it. But post-op, absolutely, it's going to definitely help with the complications of just feeling sick or with the diarrhea, because it helps break down the foods. Do we take these vitamins forever post-op? Yes. Yep. I mean, ideally, I mean, the goal is to, you want to stretch your pouch out a little bit so you can get the 6 ounces of food. You're gonna see it's a gradual process. You go to barely getting your fluids in, and then you work on eating, getting in a little bit of foods eventually, and you'll work your way up. And it could take up to 6 months to get 6 ounces of food in at one time. But like anything else, if you're sticking to the plan and you're doing, because long term the goal is 6 ounces of food 3 times a day plus 1 protein shake. So if you're doing that, you're going to need the supplements to support staying healthy. Let's see. So somebody asked about the enzyme. I recommend it's now NOW. You can order it online. It's a vegetarian-based digestive enzyme. I send that in my post-op packet, I think. But if you just Google it, it'll come up. How long until the pouch is fully healed? About 6 weeks is the average time it takes for everything to heal. But again, it depends on the person. Obviously, if you're not getting your protein and eating healthy, or if you're really unhealthy pre-op, it may take longer. But if you're fairly healthy and you go in and you follow the plan that Kelly and I recommend for you, it'll take about 6 weeks. Okay. Alrighty, so let's keep going here. All right, so transparent juices, again, like I said, anything you can see through. For juices, I recommend Honest Kids. That's here on the right-hand side. The reason I do that is because it has only 10 grams of sugar in it per serving, versus most juices have like around 25, 28 grams. A lot of them have the same amount of sugar as a soda. But if you can't find Honest Kids, then you just water your juices down. Just do like 40% juice or 50% juice to 50 to 60% water. You just don't need that sugar. And actually, if you guys take in too much sugar at one time, or even sometimes sugar substitutes, it'll cause severe diarrhea. So you do need a little bit of sugar to keep your blood sugar stable, but basically 10 to 15 carbs is all you really need, or 10 to 15 grams of sugar at one time. You do not need over that. And again, if one of the side effects of too much sugar at one time is diarrhea after surgery. So just be really mindful of that. All right, so pre-op, we got, clear liquids, we got the broths, the juices, the herbal teas. You're on that basically for 5 to 7 days. Your purpose is to hydrate yourself. Remember, trying to get that 40 ounces of fluids in minimally. And if you can drink more than 64 ounces, that's great as well. It's not going to hurt you to drink more fluids. It's the more you can do, the better. Now, once you move to phase 2, which is going to be, I say 3 to 7 days, but again, you start somewhere between 3 and 7 days. Ideally, for most of you, it's going to be 5 to 7, somewhere around 5 to 7 days, and you'll go for the next week. So think first week clear liquids, second week thick liquids. Now, if you are somebody, and of course you have Kelly and I you can reach out to, you at 7 days, you might barely be getting in your 48 ounces. Let's say you're somebody who can't get in your 48 ounces. Are you going to move to thick liquids? Absolutely not. You have got to get hydrated first. So that's the most important thing. So remember what I said, it's such a large spectrum of how you're affected after surgery. So you got to look at this, you got to look at the post-op packet and use it as a general guideline. And also say, you know what, how is this affecting me? Because each person's body is different, and the way you're affected after surgery is different. So if you are somebody who is not getting in 48 ounces, you will not move to phase 2 until you can do that. And I would reach out to Kelly and I if you're not, because don't wait, because if you're not getting in the 48 ounces, you can get dehydrated, and we want to prevent that. So definitely reach out to us. So, okay, we're on thick liquids. The second week, now you're going to another goal. So first goal is to stay hydrated, work on getting up to 64 ounces. Now goal number 2 is protein. So you want to start working on getting your protein in somewhere between 60 and 90 grams, but as long as you're getting in 60 minimally, that's fine. You still are going with the same process of protein shakes afterwards, as far as protein to sugar. But if you got a high fiber protein powder or one that has a lot of extra stuff in it, you're probably not going to be able to have that post-op right away. You want a real basic protein, like a whey-based protein, and I recommend unflavored, but if you want to get a flavored one, that's totally fine. But make sure it has at least 20 grams of protein and less than 10 grams of sugar. Now with thick liquids, basically you're not going to use a straw, but basically it's the consistency that can go through a straw. So you can kind of maybe add some almond milk or coconut milk to yogurt, and you can do that. Now if you start using yogurts, it's really important for you to read the food label. Again, a lot of yogurts are really high in sugar. And remember, high sugar means diarrhea for most of you. So you want to be careful of that. It's really important to kind of balance it out. You always want a yogurt that has more protein in it than sugar. So I recommend a product by well, first of all, primarily I recommend plain yogurt. That's like the best, but because plain yogurt has like 20 grams of protein and like 7 grams of sugar, so that's going to be your best option. And then you can sweeten it with like Barlean's essential fatty acids, and because they're flavored. But anyways, if you're somebody that says absolutely not, I can't get down plain yogurt, that's fine. But you want to do a flavored one. Definitely no where they have the flavoring on the bottom. Don't do those. Nothing with chunks in it. You just want to get the creamy flavored ones. But I recommend a product. It's called Dannon, and it's 000, and it's got 15 grams of protein and I think 9 grams of sugar. So that's by far, that's the best one that I have found so far, is post-op. This is where you start your vitamins. You do not want to start your vitamins right away after surgery because you need food to take them in. So once you start on thick liquids, then you'll start your vitamin regimen. Like I already told you, you don't want to use a straw. A lot of people wonder why. Because when you use a straw, you take in a lot of air. And again, you have this little tiny pouch, so it causes cramping and gas and all of that, a lot of discomfort. The other thing I want to say about liquids, both clear liquids and thick liquids, remember what I said, you focus on getting hydrated, you focus on your grams. You do not weigh your liquids. You do not have to measure your liquids. So this gets confusing for people. So have as much as you can take in. That's totally fine. because you're not doing these, you're not drinking sodas, you're not doing high sugar drinks anymore, so you want to be able to stay hydrated. Let's see here. Let me kind of go back to the questions. Okay, hold on a second. Let me see this. Oh gosh. Okay. So Joan is asking about liquid vitamins. Yeah, that's fine. Actually, we have we meaning NBC. We recommend Celebrate, and the reason we do that is because if you know me, I have my opinion about sugar substitutes. I tend to be very anti-sugar substitutes. So a lot of the bariatric vitamins have sugar substitutes in them, and Celebrate does not. They do not use sugar substitutes, so I love that. And you know, I've been in this industry a long time, and there's two by taste. Of course, you guys care about flavor, so the two top vitamins that patients love is either Bariatric Advantage or Celebrate. So when you look at flavor, and Celebrate's at the top of that recommendation as far as patients say. If you ask patients, they'll say you know, those are the two they like the best. And then you don't have all the crap that goes in a lot of the vitamins. That's why we recommend Celebrate. But with liquid vitamins, we actually have a protein powder that has the vitamins in it, so you're getting your protein drink and your vitamins all in one, which is really great, and a lot of people like that. But yeah, liquid vitamins are fine. I will tell you, liquid vitamins, because they're in liquid form, I think, you know, I'm not an expert as far as this. You need a biochemist to really break this down, but a lot of times your liquid vitamins, you have to go a lot more expensive. You don't want to go cheap with liquid vitamins because they're much more fragile in that state. So you're going to spend more money too with the liquid. If you want a good one, you're going to spend more money. Let's see. Exercise, the recommendation is 6 weeks. Again, it's, you know, we got to give you what the surgeons recommend, which is 6 weeks. Again, that goes hand in hand with the healing process, because you don't want to tear anything. But as far as walking, you know, or even getting in the pool, I would say if you can get that tape, the tape to cover up your things. But you can walk your heart out, but for the rest of the stuff, you want to wait 6 weeks before you do that. And the other thing, from my perspective, you guys aren't getting in the calories. I know you guys are so eager and so excited. It's this big change, and you're like focused and ready to go, and I think that's awesome. But it takes a while to get your calories up. So our bodies are very interesting, and you know, our bodies kind of think for themselves, and in the sense, like, let's say you're just out of surgery, or 2 or 3 weeks, you're getting in maybe 400 or 500 calories. Kelly and I will really work with you as far as getting your calories up to at least 800, but you're going to find it's not easy. And if you're only getting in 400 or 500 calories, you do not need to be burning any other calories. So you're going to put your body into what they call starvation mode, and your body will work against you. It'll be like, wait a minute, what is this person doing? And the other thing that's really interesting, which you'll see if you're on the Facebook support page, people have these long plateaus and they're not losing weight. And if you, in theory, you've got to say, well, God, I should be dropping weight like crazy because I'm not eating anything, or I'm hardly eating anything. Well, whatever you're eating now, if you guys drop your caloric intake, which you do more than 20%, which you guys all are doing, your body kind of freaks out, and even your body starts producing more insulin, and it really starts holding on to anything. So there's a whole system that comes into play here, because you guys are dropping your caloric intake way more than 20% the first month or two of surgery. So that really puts your body in a shock mode. It does get better, but you don't, basically the bottom line is you do not need to be exercising before 6 weeks other than walking. It's not going to help you at all. So somebody says, I'm suffering from constipation, anything I can take. Well, if you're post-op, I'm going to assume you're post-op, and so the first thing is most of the time constipation, you're dehydrated, you're not getting enough fluids. So that's the first thing I would say, is check to make sure you're getting 64 ounces of fluids. That's going to be the thing to help the most. And then I will tell you, remember, it's like if you put more into your body, more comes out. So your bowel movements will be a lot less afterwards. So you may not go to the bathroom every day. I have some people that go just every, 2 or 3 times a week, because you're not eating as much. So hydration, and then slowly trying to incorporate fiber. So you have to look at the beginning, you're getting your fluids, but then we're working on protein. And then once you get to phase 3, which is soft solids, you try to incorporate, your mushy vegetables and like applesauce or things, just to get to some fiber in. And then some people do need to take like a stool softener to help them afterwards. You just do not want to rely on those. So if you have to definitely work on your hydration, work on your diet, to get those fruits and vegetables in when you can, depending on how far out you are. And if you need to take a stool softener, that's fine, but just know that if you rely on them, it's going to cause your colon to be lazy. So you don't want that to happen. Alrighty, let's see. It says, I crush all my pills, nutrients into a yogurt and eat that. Does that accomplish the same purpose as the protein shake? If not, what's the purpose of the protein shake? Okay, John, I don't know if I really understand your questions. So let me see. If you're talking about vitamins, it's fine. So if you're crushing them up and you got all the nutrients, like you've compared your vitamins to a bariatric specific, and you know that you got everything you need, and you're doing that and that works for you, that's awesome. I think if you found a system that works for you, you don't need to change it. But a yogurt is not a protein shake. So you definitely need protein shakes in your diet, and even if you make them yourself, I'm fine with that. But you gotta, and like some people don't like the taste of protein powder, so I tell them to make a protein shake, but with plain Greek yogurt. Like I said, most of your yogurts have between 10 and 12 grams, unless you're getting the Dannon 000, which has 15 grams. You need a protein shake that has at least 20 grams of protein. But if you're making it out of yogurt, it needs to be plain yogurt, because that has between 20 and 22 grams of protein. And I'm fine with that. So the protein shake I was talking about is, some people don't want to take all the vitamins. So we have a protein drink that has the multivitamin in it. So it's just less you have to do. But like I said, if you have a system that works for you, keep doing it. What causes the frothing and foaming post-op? Yeah, frothing is always fun, isn't it? It's so basically the first thing it could be is dehydration. So you eat something and your body is you're dehydrated, it doesn't have the fluids, and so you start foaming and producing all this inner saliva to get those fluids to help break down the food. So the number one thing to look at is dehydration. The other thing is you're eating too fast, or you took too big a bite. Because remember what I said again, you don't have the digestive enzymes. So if you're eating too fast or taking too big of bites, and then your body is, again, probably more than likely you don't have enough fluids, it's trying to produce those fluids to help break that down. And then in that process, you produce a lot of saliva in your mouth, where you may be spitting all the time, or it might even turn into like a white mucusy thing. So hydration, smaller bites, chew better before you swallow. Those are the 3 things you can do to prevent that. Okay. Vincent, I'm about 10 weeks post-op. I hate almost all food now, including the meat protein. It triggers a gag reflux. Does this ever get better? It does. Yeah. Vincent, I would email me. I mean, I want to probably talk to you a little bit more about this because I want to make sure that you're not becoming malnourished. A lot, like I said at the beginning, everybody is different, and so I appreciate you sharing this question because you're 10 weeks out. You should be able to eat regular foods, but you're having a hard time. So this is a perfect example, you guys, of somebody who is things are a little bit harder, and this will happen to some of you. So you may not, Vincent, you may not be able to progress as fast as what's recommended on the packet. And but I need to talk to you more about that. So just email me at prudence@sources.com, and I'm going to need to talk to you more specifically to better answer. But what else? I did want to say something about this to the group. Oh, the other thing I do want to say, so it's just so interesting. I mean, there's such a shift in before surgery and after surgery. So he says here, I hate almost all food now. So a lot of times after surgery, your taste buds do change. So it's really interesting. The foods you think you like, you don't like. So it's kind of like a clean slate. The first 6 months, you guys will be on trial and error. I mean, open yourself up, because it's like, this is what he said here is very common for post-op people. Non-dairy recommended. So we're going to talk about that. Carter asked about non-dairy. Some people are lactose intolerant, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. No, you can have yogurt. Yogurt is fine because, well, let me just answer this question now. So a lot of times after surgery, people are lactose intolerant. So they have problems with the ice creams and regular milk because of the lactose. So they don't have the digestive enzymes to break that down, which is like the milk sugar. Yogurt has natural bacteria in it, which does the job. So it does the job that your digestive enzymes would normally do. It breaks down the sugar in the lactose in the yogurt. So that's why a lot of times you can't do the ice creams, you can't do the milk, but you can do the yogurt because of that natural bacteria. Let's see. Can you drink Gatorade during clear liquid? It has lots of sugar. So yeah, you have to think Gatorade was made for athletes, for like when you're sweating a lot, and people that are running marathons and stuff like that. So it is a clear liquid, and I think this is a beautiful question because no, you don't necessarily need it, but again, it goes back to what I told you guys at the beginning. You got to look at the labels, and you have to be mindful. So if you have kids in the house that are drinking Gatorade, you already have it, you think, you know what, why do I need to go buy something new? Do your Gatorade if that's what you have, but you're going to do like a quarter a cup Gatorade, because all you need is about 10 grams of sugar, 10 to 50, and then the rest water. So as long as it's a clear liquid and you guys are making sure you're not overdoing the sugar, you're fine. Let's see. So, Nathan, can you share the link? They want the link to the vitamins and specifically the protein drink with the vitamins in that. So can you share that for everybody? Oops. Okay. Well, Joan, how lucky are you? Okay, so she says I have to have regular deep tissue massage therapy. So how long after my surgery before I can start my massage therapy? This is a great question, and I cannot answer it. So we have a team. I'm the dietitian. Kelly's the dietitian. We specialize in nutrition, so we are here for all your nutrition questions. We have a medical liaison that specializes in all the medical questions. So this is a medical question. So Joan, if you want to email me at prudence@sources.com, I will get this question to her name is Jennifer, so she answers all the medical questions, and we will get that answered for you. But I don't know what the answer is to that. So I'm going to learn something too with finding out the answer. Carter says I cannot eat yogurt now. Correct, Carter. You're on clear liquid, so no yogurt now. You 2 days before on your clear liquids or pre-op. I'm sorry, pre-op no yogurt. On the clear liquids on pre-op, you can have yogurt then. Then you have surgery. Then you're back to clear liquids, which is no yogurt. Then you go to thick liquids, which you can start doing yogurt again. So, and you guys each will get a packet that breaks this all down. We make it so easy for you. And like I said, I wouldn't get too much ahead of yourselves. Like, just kind of be focused on the now and where you are. And then, like I said, you have 2 dietitians. You can reach us through phone. You can reach us through Facebook. You can reach us through emails. And when you get to that phase, just call us, personal message us, email us, and we can walk you through that phase that you're in. Suggestions. You can just take acidophilus if you want. I mean, the only one for pre-op, it helps with for surgery. Post-op, just don't worry about it. There's so many other protein options. It's fine if you can't have yogurt. I wouldn't worry about it. Lisa's asking about stevia as a sweetener. Does it affect us in the same way sugar or artificial sweeteners do? Yes, to some degree. If you're going to do an alternative, a sugar alternative, stevia is the way to go. It's only 200 times sweeter than regular sugar. I'm going to be honest with you guys. You have to look at what you've been doing, and it has not worked. So post-op, long-term, go as natural as you can. The less manufactured, the less man has worked with it, the less chemicals that are put in it, you're going to do better. All this fake stuff, I don't care if it has 0 calories or not, it does not work. It does not help you. It actually is helping you stay heavier. So I highly recommend just going to more natural foods versus any type of fake stuff. I also get bad stomach acid, especially when I go to bed. Does this ever get better? Yeah, so one of the things, I don't know if you're referring to GERD, but probably. And a lot of times GERD is, it's weight induced. So once you lose the weight, that goes away, which is really great. The other thing with GERD is, if you're overeating. So weight affects GERD. Overeating affects GERD. Eating before you go to bed affects GERD. So yes, definitely surgery is going to help with that. Oh, you're Vincent. You're post-op. Okay. So yes, that does get better, or it should. But I mean, look at it in the time frame of 6 months, though, not like right away. Let's see. I have been using Tums. Well, the one thing after surgery, too, I mentioned there's some side effects. It's just more of an annoyance is acid reflux. That's why we say, no coffee. So that's, Vincent, that's probably what you're going through right now is the acid reflux, and that does get better, yes. Yeah, and that's perfect that you don't drink coffee. Alrighty. Yeah, so he's saying even water. Yeah, so let's talk. You email me and I'm gonna talk to you so I can know more. David wants to know if you can go back to coffee at some point. Yeah, so after at least 1 month. So for 30 days post-op, no coffee. But as long as you're as long as you're getting your 64 ounces of fluids, you can get your, your protein in. You have no problems getting your 6 ounces of food in. Yes, you can go back to coffee when you can do those things. But you have to be able to get that in first before you start doing coffee again. Like I said, most foods, think of a small window of time. 6 months, you're in this transition. 4 to 6 months after surgery, you're in a transition where you need to focus on the meal plan that we give you. That is number one. Once you can do that, then you can start worrying about getting, these other things in your diet, like wine and coffee and all these things. You have the rest of your life. You just got to focus for 4 to 6 months to get a really good healthy meal plan in place, and then you incorporate things back into your diet after that. All right. Um, yeah, so that's um, in regards to the stomach and the staples. So, um, this, huh? Because I think it's like they just, yeah, I mean, the staples are there, but yeah, there is like when I talk about the 6 weeks of healing process, that's what's happening. Keisha, I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name probably. So, she's asking about the stomach and relying on the staples, but yeah, over time that does heal. All right, guys, I'm gonna go back. Let me go back to the PowerPoint, or we're gonna go way over the time. Oh my goodness. All right, but I appreciate the questions. I'm so glad you guys are asking all these questions. Let's see. All right. So we talked about, so we hopefully most of you know at this time, no soda. So there's no carbonated beverages at this time, and really for the rest of your life. This is the one thing you have to be ready to let go of, is soda and carbonated beverages. Um, Drinkable yogurts, I would say stay away from these. I have not found one drinkable yogurt. They're easy, but most of them are like 5 grams of protein and like 30 grams of sugar. So I would not do any drinkable yogurts even though they're easy. Recommended liquids, we've already talked about this, but you can do all the liquids you did with the previous, so the clear liquid phase. This is where you start doing your protein shakes. You can have soups as long as they're pureed. Be mindful of like cream soups, like cream of potato and mushroom and all of that, because again, the things after surgery that can cause diarrhea is high fatty foods or really high sugar. So one of those two things that can cause you to have diarrhea post-op. So I would stick to more like making your own, maybe chicken and vegetable based soup, and then blending it, pureeing it, or any type of bean soup. Tomato soup, again, tomatoes are really acidic, so and tomato soup is high in sugar, so I wouldn't recommend that. So kind of think protein-based, non-cream based soups would be good. You can do clear liquid proteins if I have this in here more for the person that can't get in the thick liquids yet. They have a really hard time, and you want to start doing some proteins. Just make sure if you do a clear liquid protein, make sure it's whey-based and not collagen-based. Collagen-based proteins, they're cheaper. They're much cheaper, but it's not a complete protein. So you want to make sure you have a whey-based protein if it's clear liquid. But I would not rely on those. Most of your clear liquid proteins are loaded with chemicals, so they're not really that great for you. And sugar-free pudding, again, it's something you can do. But again, remember, there's really not a whole lot of nutrients in it, so if you're going to do it, add some protein to it to get some sort of nutrients out of it. Okay, so now we're at phase 3, which is soft solids. This is at day 15, so 1 week clear liquids, 2nd week thick liquids. Now we're on week 3, which is basically you start to use real food. So, but it's going to be foods that are soft, like eggs and stuff like that. And we're going to go over that. So in this phase, you want to start incorporating one new food at a time. You have to be really careful because it's trial and error. What one person can tolerate, the next person cannot tolerate. So you have to figure out for yourself what works best for you. This is a process. You need to be patient with yourself. This is the phase that you weigh your foods. Clear liquids, thick liquids, you do not weigh. You have to weigh your food because long term, remember what your goal is. 3 meals a day at 6 ounces plus 1 protein shake. So you want to start weighing your foods. At phase 3, you're probably only going to be able to eat 2 to maybe 4 ounces at one time. Most people at this phase are not able to get 6 ounces in yet. So I want you to think about this. Remember, this post-op packet is a guideline. So if you're somebody who can only get 2 ounces of food in, but your goal is 6 ounces 3 times a day, so that's 18 ounces of food. So if you can only get 2 ounces in, are you eating 3 times a day? No, you're not. You have to eat more frequently. So because you still need the nutrients in. So you're only going to be eating 3 times a day with 1 protein shake when you can get up to the 6 ounces. So you have to think like, okay, if I'm only eating 2 ounces, I need to be eating like every 2 hours. You weigh your food, so definitely get some sort of scale. So like I said, your goal, the very first goal is to try to get up to 4 ounces. Until you can eat 3 ounces of protein, that's all you're eating, other than the protein shake. So unless like you're eating, unless you're going to eat another meal. So if you want to do, because you need that 3 ounces of protein in, but if you want to do like 2 ounces of protein and like an ounce of applesauce or an ounce of like a mushed up avocado, that's fine. But really work on, it's going to take a process, but trying to get 4 ounces of food in at this time. And it's very important that you weigh your food, because if over time you won't have to weigh it, you'll kind of know like, oh, 6 ounces of yogurt is, or 3/4 of a cup is 4 ounces or 6 ounces. So you'll learn over time, but at the beginning you got to weigh everything. So a few things. So again, you're still working on your hydration. This is where you incorporate the 30-20-30 rule, because clear liquids and thick liquids are all, it's liquid, so you don't have to worry about it. But once you get to phase 3 and beyond, you have to start this process. So no drinking 30 minutes before, while you're eating, and the 30 minutes afterwards. Your food is still, it's soft solid, so there's not going to be a lot of chewing, but again, you might have like a mushed up chicken, like canned chicken or something, and so you want to still be careful. You're still working on your 60 to 90 grams of protein. This is really important, this last bullet here, you guys. So again, pre-bariatrics, bariatrics is its own, philosophy. Everything changes. So you were doing fat-free, sugar-free, all of that stuff. You don't want to do that anymore because you're not getting in very much nutrients. So you need, remember what I said, it's hard for you guys to get the calories in. So you don't want to do non-fat cottage cheese and non-fat yogurt. Do the real deal. You want the 4% cottage cheese. You want the regular yogurt. So stop doing fat-free products. The only thing you do want to be careful of is the trans fatty acids, fried foods, things like that. So your saturated and trans fatty acids, yes, we want to cut out. But as far as like in yogurts and cottage cheese and stuff like that, you just need to get the regular, because you need the extra calories, and honestly, you need the fat. Let's see. So here are some recommendations for this phase: scrambled eggs. Your cottage cheeses is ricotta cheese, pureed beans, string cheese. But I would recommend with the string cheese, like instead of taking a bite, really stringing it, pull it out, and so you're getting the little pieces. Tofu. your yogurts, which we talked about. You can make like chicken, egg, shrimp salad. If you do the chicken, I would buy more of the canned chicken where you can kind of mush up. I also would um, um, I also would I would use Greek yogurt instead of mayonnaise as far as something to use to mix it up with, because you're going to get extra protein there. And of course, you can add the unflavored protein isolate to things. Like you might want an applesauce, let's say, and you can add the unflavored protein isolate and mix that in. Or you might want to do some oatmeal or something, watered down oatmeal. And again, now they have like that oatmeal that has 10 grams of protein, which is great. But you can add the unflavored as well. All right, let's see. Let me go back to the questions a little bit. I'll try to go back and forth. So somebody wants to know they're 1 month out. Angelica, yeah. And she wants to know about seeds. So seeds are funny things. Seeds and nuts are they're good for you. You know, basically at 1 month, we say it's trial and error. You can try one new food at a time. You see what works, you see what doesn't work. So with nuts you know, it's 50-50. Some people have to wait longer for nuts. It's one of those things they don't do well right after surgery. I personally would probably recommend you wait another, you want to wait until you're completely healed. So that's 6 weeks. I would say nuts you need to probably wait somewhere between 2 to 3 months before you try them. And that's just a precaution. I mean, if you want to say, no, I really want to try them, I mean, you just got to be sure to really chew before you swallow. If you do them, you have in here chia seeds. I personally don't think you need chia seeds at this point. Chia seeds are so good for you, but if you are getting in the 6 ounces of food, if you want to add chia seeds to your shake and blend them up, I think that's okay. But you got to make sure you're getting your nutrients in first. I would actually say no. I would say even hold off on the chia seeds. Like, they expand 9 times their size, so, you know, I would hold off. These are things definitely 6 months out, 4 to 6 months out after surgery. That's the safest. So things like nuts, chia seeds, things like that, you can definitely do 4 to 6 months out. But 1 month, I think, is too soon. Again, that's the same thing with the strawberry seeds. So again, you at least want to wait, like, you know, unless you're going to blend them up. Like, if you put them in a smoothie, that's totally fine. But yeah, some people, they have problems with things kind of getting stuck or causing irritation. So, and again, it's hit or miss. I have lots of patients that do strawberries and don't have problems at all. But the recommendation across the board, the kind of the cookie cutter thing for everybody, is to hold off on that anything with seeds in it. You know, you hold off for like 3 months before you try that stuff. Michelle wants to know about what about using herbs and spices, seasoning your meats. No, that's perfect. That's where you're going, you know, getting really creative with your seasonings, your herbs. That's where you're going to make food fun. So play with as many herbs and seasonings as you want. If you're talking about, you say meat, I would hold off on red meat. Again, there's foods, well, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but red meat tends to be harder to digest. So I tell people to wait 4 months before they try red meat. That's what I recommend, and actually across the board, that's what's recommended. If you try it sooner, try every new food at home first. Do not try anything new out at a restaurant, because you don't want to get sick. So see how you do at home first. In phase 3, what do you think about juicing vegetable fruit juicing is great. I think that's totally fine, and there's so many benefits to that. So yes, juice all you want. Are there protein bars that are okay? Once you're 1 month out, remember, You have to, protein bars are a solid, so you're not having any protein bars. There is one that I recommend, and for the life of me, it's not coming to me right now. You just have to be mindful. Again, um, use the same kind of theory as the protein shakes. Um, you want one that has at least 20 grams of protein. You want to make sure that it doesn't have all that sugar in it. Like the other day, I took this bar, and I almost always look at the label, but I took a friend had it, and so I had a bite of it, and then I looked at the label afterwards. Oh, I saw on the front of the package it said it had 18 grams of protein. So I thought, oh, that's good. And then later I looked at the back, and it had like 25 grams of sugar. So you have to make sure you look at those two things. And then again, me personally, I don't like anything that has sugar substitutes in it. So I'm not going to buy. A lot of your protein bars have, but there are a few out there that do not use sugar substitutes. So as long as you get the protein and you follow the protein to sugar ratio rule, finding something that you like, protein bars are fine. Because a lot of people will use those in kind of in replace of the shakes. Not all the time, but sometimes is fine. Let's see. Alrighty. Oh, and I don't know if Nathan heard me, but I don't know if you ever posted the website. People are asking for the protein, they want the Celebrate website. So Nathan, if you could post that, that would be great. They were asking about the information to the protein drink with the vitamins in it. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. So 1 month and beyond. So phase 3, you're working on slowly incorporating soft solid foods. Now at 1 month, you can eat regular food. But again, you always have to cut your food up into pea-sized bites. You're slowly trying to transition from that 2 to 4 ounces that you probably can get in, and eventually you'll work your way up to 6 ounces. I don't really like to focus on calories, but unfortunately, you guys a lot of times are getting in 300-400 calories. So once you're on phase 3 soft solids, really try to work on getting 800 calories. It's not easy. It's not going to happen overnight, but ideally, you're going to help your weight loss the best if you can get the faster you can get the caloric intake in and the protein in. So how are you going to do this? By adding fat. That's why I say don't do anything fat-free. When you look at your meal plate, you want to identify your 3 ounces of protein and then identify your 1 ounce of fat. That's going to be really important. If you're having, green beans, throw a little bit of olive oil on it. Think like, okay, I need to add a fat to each meal. That's how your calories are going to. That's literally the only way you'll be able to get in the 800 calories. Again, so basically these are the proteins. So fish, shrimp, eggs, chicken, tofu. Any of your meatless products like vegetarian stuff, beans, cottage cheese, yogurts, start to, we tend to eat the same things once we find things that work for us. Let's see. Difficult to tolerate. I already talked about red meats, things, and also you got to be careful like bacon, sausage, salami, bologna, pastrami, pepperoni, and hot dogs. These are actually fats. I mean, now you can get the, whole beef. You just got to be careful with your hot dogs, but, they're processed. But the rest of them are actually fats. They're not proteins. And remember what I said, if you go too high on the sugar or you do the saturated fats, too much fat at one time, it can cause you to have severe diarrhea, so you want to be really careful of that. The other thing that's difficult right away is your breads, because it expands. Remember, you have this small pouch, so any type of bread, rice, pasta, when you chew it and swallow it, it expands. So a lot of times that will get stuck. So at the beginning, focus on your protein, then focus on getting your healthy fat, then focus on fruits and vegetables. You have the rest of your life to slowly incorporate some of the starches in, but at the beginning, you don't want to cause yourself where anything that's gonna, you take the risk of having food get stuck and then you have to throw up, especially before before you're completely healed. So you really want to be mindful of that. Starches, when you're 4 to 6 months out, some of the things that recommend, like Ezekiel bread, it's got like 5 or 6 grams of protein in it, and it doesn't expand like a lot of the other breads do. If you do a bread, you do better if you toast it. Again, it doesn't have the expansion. Tortillas are always great because anything flat. So you're not going to have as much problem with a tortilla. So people think they're never able. Carbohydrates are not the enemy, you guys. The beauty, one of the many beauties of bariatric surgery is there's no really, other than soda, there's no such thing as I can never have. The key is you don't feel as hungry. You have this small little pouch, so you get satisfied sooner. And it's important to find balance. So long term, like if you're 6 months out, you have your 3 ounces of protein, you have your fat, maybe your 1 ounce of, because you have basically 3 ounces of protein, 1 ounce of fat, and 2 ounces you can play with. So play with means that can be a fruit, a vegetable, a starch, one of these things you see on here, or even desserts. So if you want to have 1 ounce of, a cheesecake or something, you can do it. This is 6 months out, but nobody can follow a very strict diet forever. So the key is to find balance, and as long as you're measuring your food, as long as you're getting your protein at each meal, and you stick to that 1 to 2 ounces you can play with, it's pretty, you don't have that diet mentality anymore of I can't have. You really want to let go of that. It's really important. Again, we talked about these are some good oils: avocados, olives, a variety of nuts, but that's long term. Cooking with your oils, very important. You want to get those fats in. Fats to minimize, we talked about this. So basically your saturated fats and trans fatty acids. So any fried foods, we talked about the bacon and sausage and stuff. Instead of mayonnaise and Miracle Whip, because you need the extra protein anyways, use plain yogurts, the plain non-fat, or not non-fat, but plain Greek yogurt. Salad dressings, margarines. I mean, you can use butter. I think butter is okay. I wouldn't use margarine. Sour cream. And then trans fatty acids come more in like your pastries, like anything packaged, like muffins, goodies, anything you find in a bag like that, cookies, crackers, things like that have trans fatty acids in them, so you want to be careful. Food intolerances, we already talked about the lactose. That's why we recommend either almond, coconut, or cashew milk. Always get unsweetened. Very important. You can get vanilla flavored. I'm fine with that, but make sure it says unsweetened on it. Or if you want, you can get lactate free, because it's the lactose in the milk that's the problem. A lot of times people ask about alcohol. It goes back to what I said before. As long as you guys can get your 6 ounces of food 3 times a day and you're getting your protein shake in, if you want to add some of these other things back into your meal plan, that's totally fine. Just be mindful. So let's say you're going to a party and you might have a glass of wine. You're not going to drink wine with your dinner because remember there's no fluids with your meals. But especially early on, the first 6 months to a year, you got to make sure you get your food in. But if you're going to a dinner party and you're 4 months out, let's say, or 6 months out, and just think, oh, I'm gonna have a glass of wine later. So maybe instead of a starch for dinner, you do your 3 ounces of protein, you do a healthy fat, and you do 2 ounces of vegetables, and then later you have your glass of wine. So it's just thinking through it. It's allowing yourself the things that you enjoy, but you want to find a balance in it. And if you're having gastric bypass or duodenal switch, the other thing with alcohol is you got to be very, very careful because of the malabsorption. So you have to the alcohol is going to affect you a lot faster, even with sleep. So you might have a half a glass of wine and it might put you over the top. So be very, very careful with that. Constipation, we already talked about that. Somebody already asked. This is one of the side effects of surgery. The number one reason is people are dehydrated. And then they're dehydrated and your main focus early on is protein. So you may have to take a stool softener. You don't want to rely on that. Always, the number one thing is to get your fluids in. And then once you're on thick liquids, trying to add, fruits into your shakes if you can, or definitely on phase 3, trying to add some fiber into your diet. Diarrhea is one of the side effects after surgery. I'm going to tell you a few things. So, and some of you might have experienced this, but before surgery, maybe if you're pre-op, you have what I call the Last Supper syndrome. So here you're told to go on this pre-op diet, but you're thinking, I'm never going to be able to eat these foods again. And people go into this binge, like, I got to eat everything under the sun, and I'm sure some of you guys are laughing because you're like, yep, that's me. And if you do that, you start taking in all this fat, it's going to affect you post-surgery. Because you have to remember, you have this surgery, you do not have the digestive enzymes, your body doesn't digest the food right away, and so a lot of times people that have severe diarrhea right away afterwards, it's because you had a fatty diet pre-op. You didn't follow the pre-op diet. So that's something to think about if you're pre-op. It's really important for you to follow the plan. It's really important for you to, when you hear that voice saying, I'm never going to be able to eat that again, that's a lie. Literally the only thing that you're not able to do post-op is soda. 4 to 6 months afterwards, you pretty much can slowly incorporate most foods back in. Now, are you going to go to a buffet and pig out? No. But can you have a few bites of a cheesecake? Can you have a few bites of ice cream? Yes. Always with your meals, though, but yes, you'll be able to eat those things. So I talked about triggered foods, fatty foods. So post-op, if you are experiencing diarrhea, look at what you're eating. If there's anything fatty, you want to eliminate your dairy products if you're experiencing severe diarrhea. And what I mean is food, every time you eat, it goes through you. Sugar substitutes, any high sugared things, like even I find people that tell me they can't keep anything down, a lot of times it's their protein shake. Everybody's different, but they have these protein shakes that are made with a sugar substitute, and for some reason that's causing the diarrhea. And then fruits, berries, and then anything that's sorbitol is a type of sugar alcohol, so that will affect diarrhea as well. Now, this is going to be all in your post-op packet, and again, this is more medical, but the diarrhea is a real common question. So one of the things is that's where the yogurt comes in, but taking a probiotic, and then taking the acidophilus, doing the digestive enzyme I talked about, very important. But if you continue to have it, of course you can reach out to our medical liaison, Jennifer, but you're going to probably want to get with your primary care physician with that if it continues, because you do not want to get dehydrated. And if this is a problem you guys have, reach out to Kelly or I. Sooner than later is always better if you're experiencing severe diarrhea. Dumping syndrome. Some sleeve patients, this affects some sleeve patients, but it's predominantly with gastric bypass. But I will tell you, if you're having sleeve, you may get this. This is why you want to modify your sugar intake. So if you stay within under 15 grams of sugar, you're not going to have a problem. But and then also that's where the protein and fat come in. So if you're eating protein and fat, it actually slows down the digestion rate of the sugar or the absorption of the sugar, so that's going to prevent dumping and then not having too much sugar at one time. So basically it's somebody that might try to eat a piece of candy or even something like milk, something that, that the protein, the fat's not there, the sugar goes into your bloodstream really fast, and basically dumping is like flu-like symptoms. So you could have diarrhea, you could be throwing up, you could feel like you're having hot flashes. I didn't have surgery, so I have not experienced it, but I've been in this industry long enough to have talked to so many people, and usually people that get dumping, it's so severe that it changes them right away. Like they only will have it happen 1 or 2 times before they're like, oh, I can't eat this. And a lot of times it's not that you can't eat it, but you had too much of it. Or you tried to eat, like, let's say a slice of bread by itself. That's a straight carb. You're not able to do that. You need to eat your protein, your fat, and then have a balance of some sort of carb with that. So don't go over 15 grams of carbs, and always have a protein and a fat with it, and you'll prevent dumping from happening. Let's see. Oops. All right, so now I'm going to go back, you guys, and answer any questions. Let's see. And then, of course, anything else. So, okay. Do I have any recommended pocket digital scales? The one you saw on the PowerPoint is mine. I just bought it on Amazon. I mean, I didn't have surgery, so I don't, I don't take it out. But a lot of you, what's really great about a pocket digital scale is that the lid can be used for your plate. So if you're out somewhere, you can use that. But at home, any type of scale will be fine. Nathan, I need you to turn off your thing. Everything is echoing here. Okay. So
I
the
just
next
want to
question.
say hello, guys. My name is Nathan, and we have, I know that Prudence was talking about the vitamins. So I put a link to the vitamins in the chat, and I gave a webinar $20 or 20% off coupon. It's only going to be eligible by today, so tomorrow it's not going to work. So go ahead and get your vitamins and your protein powder.
Thank you, Nathan. So, okay, 20% off, you guys. Okay, so Lynn is saying, I've been taking B12 vitamins in a tablet form. Where do you get the other form? So Nathan just sent a link, and so you can look at that, but sublingual B12 you can get anywhere. It just needs to say sublingual. If you want to do injections, you can probably get that from your doctor. And also nasal spray. Nasal spray or injections need to be from your primary care physician. But you can go to the link and see the supplements. But you can get those at any vitamin store. I'm 3 weeks out. What fruits are acceptable? So you're soft solids. So let's think about this. So basically, so now you're doing, again, you're on the 3. So there's a few things here. I want to make sure you're only eating fruit at 3 weeks if you can get 3 ounces of protein in and 1 ounce of fat. If you can do that, then you can add fruit. If you cannot get 3 ounces of protein and 1 ounce of fat, then you should not be having fruit yet. You need to make sure you get your protein and your fat in to get your calories up. Now, once you can do that as soft solids, so basically anything that you can mush up. I mean, we talked earlier about the seeds. So berries, unless you're going to throw berries in your shake, I wouldn't have those right now, but anything that you can mush up or have like applesauce, you can go. Like if you want to have 2 ounces of a mushed up banana, totally fine. So any fruit you can mush up, you're good to go. So what is an example of a vegetarian enzyme? It's a vegetarian base. It's not as harsh as some of the other ones. That's why I recommend vegetarian based. If you, I mean, there's tons of them out there. You can do. I recommend one from Now. So it's NOW. So if you Google Now NOW, vegetarian based digestive enzyme, it'll pop up. Any other questions, you guys? I'm sorry. Thank you so much for all the questions and how active you guys all were. Sorry I went over, but any other questions before we get going? Remember to join Facebook. Kelly and I are both on there, plus your coordinators are on there, plus our medical liaison is on there. It's like the easiest and fastest way to, one, collaborate, ask questions to us or the group. It is private. And that's it. No, you should take the digestive enzyme like your vitamins. It's for the rest of your life. You don't have those digestive enzymes anymore. So the part of your stomach that's getting removed, so there's enzymes that are produced that are in that part of the stomach that will no longer happen. So yeah, so you're going to take the digestive enzyme with everything else. Now, I will say, because you're going to just absorb more, but if you go to your primary care physician 3 to 6 months after surgery and all your labs are fine, you're eating 6 ounces of food, no problem, then do you need an enzyme? Probably not. So if you're fine, if all your lab work is fine, if your hair is not falling out, then no, you don't need it. But if there's any type of nutrient deficiency happening, then you need to keep continuing the digestive enzymes. All right, you guys, have a wonderful day. Thank you for being on the webinar. Bye. Oh, hold on. Okay. Was that what we got a prescription for when we left the hospital? No, you don't need a prescription for digestive enzymes. I'm assuming your prescription probably was for a pain medication. That's what I'm assuming. But you can buy like I said, you can just Google vegan-based or vegetarian-based digestive enzymes, and you can order online, or you can order in any vitamin store or buy in any vitamin store. Okay, guys, have a good day. Bye.